we can get a car. I said, we have nothing to complain about. I said, just appreciate it, please, and pass it on, pay it forward.
Yeah, sounds like a bummer.
Yeah, listen, it is, but in the meantime, there's always a life lesson there, and it's an opportunity for him to, and he's a good kid. He didn't do anything wrong. That car was just finally saying it's time to put me to bed.
Yeah, happens.
I just didn't expect for it to happen this quick. It wasn't on my timeline.
Right. So, okay, well, it's right at 5:00, and we have a pretty decent sized group joining us right now, and I'll continue to admit guys in as we go forward. But just a couple things for the newbies when you're getting in here. Just make sure, or if you're capable of keeping your camera on, keep your camera on. It promotes engagement. Please, provide your undivided attention. Keep your microphones on mute unless you're called upon or it's time to say something. We understand that that from time to time, you might be asked a question, and feel free to chime in, and just be mindful of the fact you might have some background noise in there that if you keep your microphone on, that it could disrupt the workshop or the meeting. At the end of this, we'll discuss some stuff that we're doing going forward that I'm pretty excited about. Working with Mario on some, on doing a little bit more for our guys. And so stay with us all the way through, and we'll be able to get you that information. Okay. All right. Thanks again, Mario. I know I get to see you every week on here. It's not the same as having you in person, but it's a lot better than nothing. So thanks again.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So, hey, everybody, happy Monday. Hope you guys had a really positive weekend of, if not playing, practicing, if not practicing, doing something to sharpen the skill. I'm going to reference a couple notes from conversations I had in the past week with different college baseball coaches. A lot of you all want to get recruited if you haven't been recruited yet. And so one of the biggest questions that are posed to college coaches is, what are you looking for? Okay. What is a recruitable player? And so I want you not only to be listening to this, but I'm hoping you're going to take notes, because this kind of information is extremely valuable, because you don't always get a chance to ask a college coach, what are you looking for? What do you need? And yet every player and every parent wants the answer to that. So I'm going to read a couple things that one of the coaches shared with me. First, make sure that you're ready to be seen. What do I mean by that? A lot of people do all these showcases. A lot of people do all this stuff to try and get in front of coaches. And so they try and press to impress. And that's not always a good thing, especially if you're not really ready. So I want you to understand, keep working at your craft. Keep getting better. Keep taking little baby steps. If you're not the stud, if you're not the guy, if you're not really showing yourself in the way you want to be seen, maybe you should keep working at it instead of going to some of these extreme showcases. Now, I'm being really honest, because you want to be seen, but you want to see in the best light. And every coach was looking for a player to add value. So I want you to ask yourself this question: how do I add value to a team? And I need for you to write this down, because your homework for this week is going to be answering that question, being really honest, and then asking your coach for their input. How do I add value to this team? Which leads me then to the next question is, and this is kind of, I'm evaluating myself. What are my strengths? And what are the areas I really need to work on? See, because if you're going to be a really good, established player that a coach can trust, you need to be honest with yourself about what you can do and what you're really strong at. And you also need to be honest about what you struggle with, and what you need to ask an assistant coach for assistance on. Additional BP. It could be mechanics. It could be strength. I need to go spend more time in the weight room with our strength and conditioning coach. I need to have an honest conversation with a nutritionist about getting some weight on. What are the best exercises for me to deal with my knee? It's sore, my shoulder, it's sore, and not ignore it. That is for me something that then tells a coach, not only are you mature about what it is that you're looking to do, but you're taking control, you're taking charge. You don't need to be babysat. You don't need to be having your hand held. These are the questions you need to ask and answer yourself. And I would rather you do it and not ask your mom and dad to do it. Take a quick photo here. So, how do I add value? What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? I need for you to have these done by Thursday. I've got two of my recent graduate students who just finished their program with me. So I don't know if you could see them on here. I've got Cassie Kruger, and then I have Marquise, who's somewhere around there, Marquise Kidd. Both are ex-athletes. Marquise played baseball. Ms. Kruger was a phenomenal basketball player, and I also I think she's a multi-sport. But it leads me to, transitioning about, should I be a real baseball stud at a young age, or should I be an athlete? Most college coaches are going to tell you, I'm looking for athletes, because athletes can be coachable. If you're looking to be a specialist at the age of 9 and 10, you're missing out on learning certain tools and skills through cross-training that will make you a better baseball player. So again, ask yourself, what am I doing to help myself be more fit, be more athletic, instead of just hacking away and taking swings? Now, Joe mentioned that we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to add a layer to add more value to the program. And that's where my graduate students are going to come in. So we're going to break you guys up in regions, and I'm going to assign my two graduate students the various regions where on Thursday nights, they're going to be reaching out to you guys and doing follow-up questions based on the conversations that we're having on Monday. Okay? What we want to try and do is give you, in a more intimate setting, a chance to ask questions. Now, these two are extensions of who I am and what I think and my philosophy and my knowledge. So they are every bit as good as I am. They may not be as good looking, but they are every bit as good. Definitely not Marquise. And so I want them to be utilized in the same way you want to use me. And they are also making themselves available that if there are parents or players who want more one-on-one work, they're the people to go to. Okay? So this is something that we're doing. It's the first time I've done it, and the first time I've ever extended my students to an organization. And these aren't just students. They've graduated. They've done the work. They've proven themselves. So you're not getting a trainee. You're getting the real deal. Okay? Let me add, there's another thing I had here. And I think it was a conversation that Tulowitzki, who's now former Long Beach, former Colorado Rocky, now he's at University of Texas, was talking about. Where is it? That's actually where I got the idea of evaluating, because at Texas, they eval every player and every part of the program at the end of every season. So this is good for coaches to hear. We need to know what we did well. We need to know why we were successful. Then we need to go down the roster for every player and every coach. What do you think we need to do different so that we can continue on this success and keep the momentum going? Or let's be honest, let's address what was really lousy and what we failed to do and to take care of. And let's talk about what we need to bring in or what we need to do different so that we can change the trajectory of where we're headed. So again, going back to the evals, what's my value? Ask my coach, what are my strengths? What do you think are my weaknesses? Here's my list, coach. Now I want you to be really honest and tell me, am I right? Or am I absolutely with my head in the clouds? Because some of you may have your heads in clouds. Some of your parents may have their heads in the clouds, thinking that you should be the next Mike Trout. And in reality, you're really more like the next bluegill. That's a fisherman joke for those guys who fish. But I need for you to know and be honest with where you are in the pecking order. If you're not playing much, there's a reason. If you're not getting on base, there's a reason. Let's be honest and let's deal with that. Let's see, I got one more section here. Last week we talked about how willing are you to look stupid in the short term, or in the short term to look really good long term? Tell me what that meant. Tell me what you took away from that phrase, that idea. Anybody? Raise your hand. And I would like to hear from someone different instead of the same guys. Nicholas Rate.
What I took away from that statement that you told us last Monday, was that I'm willing to look like a clown so I can look like a beast in the long run.
What does a beast look like to you? Who's a beast in your eyes?
A lion.
Okay.
A Mike Trout, maybe.
Okay, I like that. So what adjustment do you need to make right now that you need to be working on consistently so that eventually that beast comes out?
Hitting opposite field.
Okay. Now, is your coach online?
Like in the same page as me?
Is the coach right here? Is the coach in our room, in our chat room?
I don't think so.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. When's your next practice?
I don't think I live in New Mexico, so we're not having practice.
Okay. Who do you normally work with? Do you have a swing coach, a hitting coach? How do you try and get better?
Right now I'm working with a team, and we have practice every day.
Okay, good. So at your next practice, I want you to go and ask your coach, Coach, I'd like to work on hitting to the opposite field today. Can you help me? Can you give me a drill, or can you give me some opportunities to do that?
Yes, sir.
Ask the coach so that you've got another team helping you make that goal happen. All
Yes,
right?
sir.
Good
Yes,
man.
sir.
Good man. Who else has got something they can add? Come on, guys. I got 2 pages of guys who are just kind of listening in, but I can't see them. Let's get some of my older guys to step up and answer this question.
Can I chime in there a little bit?
Please. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I know when we're implementing practices, we're always trying something new or implementing something new. And so for the guys out there that that have been on the field with me, and think about your first time out on the field with us, and we have Andrew that's down your throat, or we're having you do something new on the bases. The Texas guys that are on here, think about the stuff we worked on this last weekend, where we're working on how we take our lead, how we read the ball in the dirt, stuff like that. We know in our minds as coaches that you're more than likely going to fail a little bit at first, okay? But as you get better at it, right? As you get better, you start to figure out things on your own, and you start to have a little bit more success. So think about it in those terms. When you come out to our workouts or our practices and think about the new stuff that we implement, you're not always good at it right away, right? But in the long run, as you improve, it becomes second nature.
So so to that point, even if you have a bad, let's say you're struggling, a coach is still going to see the talent that's there. And he or she is going to also see the character that's there. A lot of times we want to see you struggle because we want to see what you're made of. If you can hit, you're going to hit, and you're going to have an approach of a hitter, which means you're going to have the demeanor of a hitter. If you can throw, if you can pitch, we can see if you're struggling, and we're going to see how you recover from pitch to pitch as you struggle. So you don't always have to strike 6 guys out to get someone's attention. In fact, you may hit somebody. That may get our attention and get us to lean a little more, because now I want to see how do you recover from that. Because if you're lucky enough to get paid at this sport, you will have a ball that is served that ends up becoming a rocket ship launched off of somebody's bat that goes 400 plus feet. You're not going to be able to get away from it. In fact, how about the guy who played yesterday and had 4 home runs straight back to back to back to back off of him? How do you think he's feeling after that second home run, then the third, and then the fourth? How you recover from that says so much about you. Or how you don't says so much about you. So I want you to struggle, but I need to see how you deal with it. That's how you become attractive to somebody at the next level who wants to say, I want to invest money in you. I want you to come play for this team. I want you to play for my school. And if you're really, really good, maybe we'll even pay for your education. And if you're really special, you'll skip that and you go straight to go and collect some coin. That's not a bad gig either. So hitters, obviously you got to hit. Pitchers, you got to be able to pitch. Fielders, you got to work on making sure there's no hole in that glove. They're looking to see how athletic you are. What's your first step like? Do you have good baseball IQ? Are you coachable? Those are the things that matter. There we go. Sorry about that. I had a call coming in. Okay. So I gave you enough to think about. I gave you some things to kind of marinate in. So now, again, I want you to go back and I want you to think between now and Thursday about not only having that list done, but maybe even sharing those lists with my graduate students, as well as your coaches, and then learn how to refine it. And if you don't know, Thursday night is the time to be able to pose those questions and maybe get some answers. Diego Serrano, unmute yourself.
Hello, Coach.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Give me one of your strengths, my friend.
I would say my hitting would be one of my best strengths I have.
And tell me why it's a strength. What makes you that good of a hitter?
Well, I do practice a lot, maybe twice a day.
Okay.
And my body size gives me a lot of power in my swing.
Good. Love that. He knows that about himself. He's pretty confident about that. That's good. What do you think is a weakness, an area that you need to improve?
I would say mostly my speed, my agility, because it's just, I don't know, I know I need to work on my speed a lot more.
Okay. So I had a young man who has a full ride scholarship to the University of Notre Dame. He was a client of mine last year. He came to me, he said, he's a different sport. Okay. So full disclosure, he's a fencer, kind of like the Mark of Zorro. He was kind of, I don't want to say, he was husky. He's probably 6'6", about 240. That's more like a football player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
tremendous touch, tremendous ability, tremendous IQ, World Cup champion, internationally recognized for the age of 17, wanted to become an even better player. So we sat and we had 2 discussions. And one of the questions was, I don't know how I can get better. My dad tells me I don't work hard, but I do. And I looked at his frame and I said, for the sport that you do, you need to become faster. You need to become more agile. So you need to incorporate some speed training. Now, speed training will benefit anyone, right? It's not just a fencing specific activity. Speed training would help any baseball player, any football player, anybody whose sport requires certain fast twitch muscles and movement. So long story short, he found a person, actually I recommend somebody to him. After 4 months, he shed about 15 pounds and it became muscle. He is now enrolling, I think he's on a plane. I think he's on his way to Notre Dame. He's got a full ride scholarship. Anybody know how much the educational value of a full ride scholarship to Notre Dame would be? Anybody want to toss a number?
500,000.
But probably a little less than that. It's about $72,000 a year. So multiply that by 4, maybe 5 if he gets hurt. So you're not far off. It's about $350. Now, I don't know about you. I don't have a spare $350,000 just sitting around. But how would you feel if you knew you could control your destiny, your path, so that someone would want to invest that kind of money in you? This is why we need to know what our strengths are, know where we need to work and improve, and figure out how to connect the dots to get us to where we need to be. So we add value to somebody's program, and they're going to want to invest in you. Bueno? Yeah, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. Let me see. Let me turn to the next page. Joshua Raya.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Good, and you?
I'm doing well. Tell me one of your strengths.
One of my strengths, I definitely believe, is my speed.
Okay, so we need to get you together with this other guy who just talked to me.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You guys should cross-train.
Yeah, maybe. I'll teach him a few things.
There you go. And what's an area that you need to improve on?
An area that I like to improve on, or I definitely noticed I need to improve on, is my leg power when I'm batting, because I could get on base, but I would like to add a little more leg power towards like my hitting and just like hit the ball harder.
Now, here's the thing, guys. Every one of you has a strength. We need to own it. Identify it. Sometimes for some of you who always beat yourselves up, it may be hard for you, but you got a strength. It's important to know it, and it is equally as important to own it and practice on it as it is to identify what we need to work on, our weaknesses, and make them better. Don't ignore it. You're not going to make a good player or become a great player if all you do is one thing and do one thing well. We need for you to hit. We need for you to run. We need for you to throw. We need for you to catch. We need for you to know how to have good base running skills. We need for you to do all those things. So keep working at your sport. Okay? Appreciate you, Joshua. Thank you. All right. Cassie and Marquise, you guys want to introduce yourself real quick? Say hello. That way they know who you are. Ladies first, of course.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Cassie Kruger. Just like Mario said, just recently graduated from the CBU SPP program. Little background on me: I played softball, volleyball, and basketball all throughout high school, and was fortunate enough to go finish my basketball career at Cal State LA up until last year. So yeah.
She's a badass.
Stop! You're making my head too big.
No, it's true. She was a player. And then we got this guy, Marquise, who swung big lumber. Dude, don't leave me hanging.
So yeah, like Mario
There we go.
said, my name is Marquis. I just recently graduated as well. A little background about myself. We're good.
Where are you?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
No.
Dude, I'm in my car. I have to practice right now, or my team is actually practicing. So we're getting ready for that. So I'm talking out of there. But quick background about myself. I played college ball at Sandy, and went on played overseas for 4 years professionally. I just finished last year. So yeah, I coach hitting primarily, but I do fielding as well. I've been doing that for about 5 years. So
Didn't hear a damn thing you said. It's like a bad kung fu movie. So let me fill in the blanks for those of you who couldn't hear. Marquise finished playing ball at La Sierra University, and then was one of my graduate students. He's played. Did you play professionally, Marquise? Just give me a head nod.
yeah,
Okay. The guy knows his sport, and so I'm excited to have them exposed to you and you exposed to them, so that you get a chance to ask questions that most people would not have the opportunity to have answered. All right, and as I said, they're extensions of me. I want you to take advantage of them. Ask them anything, ask them everything, so that we can help continue to elevate where this program is, and more importantly, help you elevate your playing. All right? Coaches or parents, do you guys have any questions for me or any of my kids?
Question.
Yes.
I'll speak up. As far as implementation of the principles that we learn here with our coaching staff, that's here on the West Coast, as well as in other areas, how can we as coaches better implement these ideas and drills? How can we communicate to players a little bit better? Just some guidelines there that maybe we could work by to improve our coaching skill set.
I'm working on a coaching for coaches, actual digital educational module. A lot of the stuff is what you guys hear me, share with you on Monday nights. But I think the biggest thing for us as coaches to remember is that our job is to always be teaching. And if the kids don't get it, take ownership that it's our failure, it's our fault. It isn't every time that we're going to have a kid who doesn't get it that they don't get it because they're checked out and they're a knucklehead. Every kid that shows up wants to try and do well. So we have to take the position of, okay, what do I need to do differently to help them stay motivated and not lose their confidence? Because if you get a kid who's engaged and has confidence, they're going to keep trying and they're going to try harder for us. I think we need more of that because today's athlete is different than when we played, when we were younger. And then I would also use, Joe, you've got all of our Monday conversations on the website, correct? So all the coaches and players can access them and read them and listen to them again or watch them and use it as a teaching tool. I'm going to listen to last week's and I'm going to say, all right, maybe from this is what I'm going to take away. And then from this, I'm going to create this, this goal I have for this week. And that could be a coach trying to create a goal for his practice plan. It could be a parent on learning how to be a better parent so that I don't put more pressure on my kid, or in the eyes of the athlete, the player, what is it that I can work on this week that I kind of failed and I took for granted? I want us to always be looking at working on getting better and having it something different to work on and sharpen every week. That's why we're doing these conversations on a weekly basis.
Hey, Mario, just a question for you.
Yes.
My son Kyle is the one that is on the screen there, but he's at practice.
I was going to
right
say,
now. Like
man, you sound and all.
We went ahead and got the book that you recommended.
Which one?
That's
It's a baseball. Great.
What was the volume? Yeah. So see, the question is, of course, is why did you reference version 1 versus volume 2, as well as would you be able to put together maybe a book a week as we do these every week?
I love the old version because it's simple, and in my opinion it is really to the point, and it is I think it's his best work. Volume 2 or 2.0 I think is too intellectual, and it's twice the size, if not 3 times the size of the first book.
Right.
And then most baseball players are not readers. Right? I mean, come on, don't lie to me, right?
Except for the ones that are 4.0s. Okay, go ahead.
So even the ones who are 4.0, sometimes those kids get in their own way because they over-intellectualize the game and they forget it's a game that has to be played. And so if we try and overthink the game, we're forgetting that there's a game that's being played and we have to be present and play. Now, don't get me wrong. I've got a couple kids who, one of my kids, Jack Little out of Stanford, that guy's a walking encyclopedia. He's a walking.
Oh yeah, we know Jack.
Okay, so Jack is different. He's unique. Now, if Kyle's like him, then I'll give you the book a week, because that's pretty much what Jack would do. But yeah. I need, before we get there, I want to make sure that Kyle is spending time getting in his body and getting a feel for the game, which you cannot get by overthinking. I hope that makes sense.
No, agreed 100%.
Okay. But I'm going to have to watch him now. Who else? Mr. King.
Yes.
We got Baker and we got Tyson. Which one do we have? No? Okay. I'm going to switch back. Anybody else? If not, we're going to move on. Who's that Zoom user with the Golden State Warrior on? He's in the car. You can tell him he needs to change his shirt. Okay, we're good?
Question?
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Louis Flores. So we're actually new to the organization.
Welcome.
Thank you. We actually came with Coach Roland Damasco.
Okay.
And my son's been working hard, and I'm a coach also, and I've been trying to instill, more of the love of the game, and Coach Damasco, the same thing as trying to be a student athlete, because without school, it's the education is 100%,
Amen.
I kind of instill in him that if you were to get a scholarship and not play professional ball, the greatest thing you just received was an education, to better yourself.
Yes.
And I try to instill that his lack of more of how would I say confidence, you know, that would be my son's biggest thing, this lack of confidence for himself, you know. So I try to be a coach on the field and then a dad off the field, you know, not try to be the dad and the coach at
So
the same and in both places.
do you still talk about baseball at home?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I still have the love for the game. I played high school ball. I played back in the day for Montebello Stars back in the day. And, you know, back then, travel ball wasn't as big as it is now,
Right.
you know. And every day playing was the greatest hype for me, you know, and trying to go to school, which I should have been a better student, you know, but I try to instill that in my kids now,
So,
you know.
so here's the best advice I can give you as a father to a father. They can't take baseball being part of their vocabulary and the environment 24/7. It's too much.
Yeah. And he's just 9.
Oh
You
my
know?
goodness. So
Yeah.
so here's a critical bit of advice that every parent needs to hear. Every parent needs to hear this. Don't coach your kid. Don't. Let
Yeah.
your
And
best friend let somebody else coach him.
yeah. And that's what we do with Coach Semesco. He controls him and does everything with, you know, and I go to another place on the field and do it that way because
Go to Starbucks. Go get some
Yeah.
food. Get out of
Yeah.
there. Give
Yeah.
them their space. I honest to God, my first call this morning, no, actually it wasn't my first call, but one of my calls earlier today with an athlete in New Orleans had to do with letting the child have their space
Yeah.
because it's their sport. And when they go play, they want to grow and fail without disappointing the parent.
Yeah.
And if the parent then just talks about how they did, good or bad, the interpretation by the child is, you're criticizing me. I can't do anything right. I can't please mom or dad. I'm letting them down. So even at the age of 9, your little guy might be struggling with confidence, but it's because he's in dad's shadow 24/7. My dad is saying nothing that helps me think that I'm good enough. So I'm so glad you're asking me and we're having this conversation, because now if we can cut that chain, if we can break that chain, that pattern, and have you understand how to help him with his confidence, which is, I swear to God, it's to be his cheerleader.
Yeah. And
To
that's what I
remind
do.
him how good he is, especially when he screws up.
Yeah. And then we'll be hitting outside and I won't criticize. I say, hey, great job. I go, you know what you did wrong on this one? And he fixes himself.
Don't even remind him what he did wrong.
Yeah.
That way he can see it. He can develop that sense
Yeah.
and then make the adjustment.
And he'll
The
catch
fact-
it.
The fact that you two get a chance to play catch, that's got to be a slice of heaven.
Yeah. And that was actually about a good year and a half where he didn't really know anything. And then once he got, you know, working with Coach Semesco, the joy just playing catch in the front yard and him catching the ball and throwing the ball. And
That's got to be it, man. Because when he
Yeah.
loses that joy, he's going to be done.
yeah,
And you're going to be bitter.
yeah.
So your job is to always make sure it's fun for him.
Oh, yeah.
And if he's
Yeah.
struggling, you need to say, what flavor ice cream do you want?
Yeah. We'll
Let's
stop.
take a break.
Yeah. Once you start, then we stop and that's it. We don't talk about it. We don't go anything. We shut it down.
It's got to be that way. It
Yeah.
has to be. Because I cannot tell you at this point in my work, it's thousands of families and parents that I've spoken to that after hearing me talk, they come back and say, God, I wish I would have known that.
Yeah.
I really screwed up my kid and their enjoyment. And now my kid won't talk to me. Now my kid won't let me come watch him play.
Yeah.
Let me tell
And
you, that will break any man's soul and spirit.
Yeah, and I take that a lot from Coach Damasco because he had really shown me, about father and son and how to like break off and
Yeah,
go from there. And he's taught me a lot, and my
good.
son a lot. I owe a lot to him.
Good man.
You
Well, you
know?
make sure you tell him from me, I appreciate that kind
Yeah.
of
Oh, I tell him
mentoring.
every time I talk to him, I go, if it wasn't for you, I don't know where we'd be at right now.
That's beautiful. That's
It's always
beautiful.
good
Thank
to
you,
have
Louis.
someone out there. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Joe, what do you think?
Get into that time.
We good? So you'll get back to everybody on relative to the regions, how we're gonna handle the Thursday night phone calls, so I can get the information to my students.
Absolutely. So I've set it up on our website already. I'll put the link here. Actually, that's not the link. I'll put the link here right now. We're just going to separate it from West Coast, and then if you want to join in on the Texas Southwest follow-up workshops, they're right here. So I put it in there for everybody to go to.
You got it in the chat room?
It's in the chat room. Yeah, I put it in the
Okay.
chat. But it's mapped out for our guys to see, where they're scheduled to be at. I'll talk to you a little bit off the record here about how we can organize it. But really like for as many of our guys to participate in that follow up. I know that we're starting to get busy. I know that field access is starting to pick up everywhere. And so practices are going to start being implemented on the field, but we're going to do our absolute best to work our practices outside of these mental skills workshops and the follow-up. And this is and not only that, I mean, it's not just, and I was talking to Mario earlier today about, how we can also, how we can also work this into a mental skills / mental health workshop. All that's kind of a big topic these days that we need to kind of cover, just with everything going on in the world. There's so much going on. There's still a threat of high school baseball not being able to get played, as well as maybe college ball that's not able to get off the ground again this next year. So, how do we cope with all that? How do we cope with the new normal? With, I walk around the airport yesterday and everybody's wearing a mask. I feel like it's the apocalypse, so how do we cope with all this stuff going on around us?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We want to kind of make sure that everybody is staying positive and having a positive mindset throughout all of these transitions. So, okay.
Well said. You got to be positive so you can be optimistic. And if you're optimistic, then you can be creative and you can see the opportunity.
Yep. So, all right. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. Marquise Kid's coming back. Maybe he's got service. For everybody that, stayed with us the entire time, hopefully you got a lot out of this. I know that everybody that does get on these every week, I know that that even colleges are starting to reach out and figure out how they can get involved with things like this. And it's a missing component in a lot of players' development. That's especially attributed to you guys because it's a missing component in almost everybody's development. So, okay.
Keep sharpening the sword, gang.
All right,
Help
everybody.
separate yourself. Make it easier on yourself to make it easier for a coach to want you.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that's pretty much it for this week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all next week, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the follow-ups on Thursday. All right. You guys take care. Thanks, Cassie. Thanks, Marquise. We'll talk to you guys soon. See ya. Thanks, Mario.